Welcome back to the Tyrant Hangar. This is Mike, and I'm coming at you with the weekly news and review for December 19th, 2021. We're in the last stretch, in the last week of Christmas shopping, and yet there's so much more news coming out for Transformers and all these other franchises that we talk about. There is updates for X-Transbots in the Masterpiece realm. This week is just a massive feast of legendary news for Legends figures. So many updates and so many announcements. There's also some mainline news. I did take a road trip, so I've got a lot of information for what's going on locally, more or less. And, of course, there is some Star Wars news we're going to talk about. We're talking about all this coming up. First up, some new stuff at Show Z. This is the Devil Hunter 1/100th YY03B Black Flag Project 1X1 Crossbone Gundam. So, this thing looks pretty cool. It is about $120, and it's made of die-cast, and it's made of plastic. 1/100th scale is the size. I guess you would understand that if you collect these things. And, of course, you get a figure and accessories due out in second quarter of 2022. There's a pre-order up for this Motor Nuclear, the MNQ-07-172 scale Bull Demon King, which this thing looks pretty cool. There's no price, $2 deposit, and it's made, of course, die-cast and plastic. And it's estimated third quarter of 2022. So some pretty cool stuff showing up there. So then coming into stock at Show Z is the BW-806-002 Optimus Prime. So this is obviously a KO, and I think it's upscaled because it's 8.66 inches tall, $35. So it's a pretty decent price for this guy. And the thing is that this one, it's a main figure. You've got two hand blades, estimated release date, well, right now because it's coming into stock. So it's hitting on time, which is pretty cool. But it also... there's an available upgrade kit for this thing. So this is the BW weapon upgrade kit for this, and it is $20, and includes an ion blaster, shield, 2 AB parts, 2 pistols, and an axe. So pretty interesting, pretty cool if you want to upgrade your figure. Getting into some Masterpiece news now, I'm going to touch on this a bit, and I did touch on it on Friday, but the thing is that this is the KO version of the RC, the MP51 RC 4th party, and it's due out first quarter of 2022. But here's the weird part. I'm hearing that it's got a chest upgrade. Like they're going to modify it so that the chest looks a little bit better or more accurate or screen accurate and all that. But it doesn't say it in the description. So I went ahead and pre-ordered one anyway because it's not a bad price. $80 for this figure. And I know we got used to KOs being a lot cheaper than that. But this thing looks pretty good. And if it does have the chest upgrade, I'll probably be displaying this one instead of my official, but it is a pretty good figure. The official is a decent figure. It has a couple of flaws, but overall, nice looking RC on the shelf. So X-Transbot seems to be pushing out news every single week, just staying on top of it. So that's pretty awesome. So we have their Jansen, and there's a video out there now, and you can see it transform, kind of stop motion transformation of it, which is pretty cool. So I actually haven't watched the whole thing yet. I just watched parts of it, try to get me a nice clip to kind of show how it's breaking down as it transforms, which I think is a pretty good idea for a picture of a transformation video, but I didn't really show the video. Anyway, with this, they have some information to go along with Jansen. Sounds like this thing's coming out in January. Okay, so I didn't get a screen grab of it, but what they're saying is that the youth trailer is already out. G2 trailer will be out early first quarter of 2022, and then the G2 gravestone after Jansen in January. So sounds to me like we're getting Jansen in January. They're going to beat Fansoys to the punch by a mile, if that's true. So we got more pictures of the TFC Toys, the STC-02 Tyrant, and he looks really good, and he's massive. I actually didn't realize he was this massive. In my mind, when I hear TFC Toys, I think tiny, but yeah, he's a pretty good size. So anyway, he looks really good. There he is. Like, look at the paint. Look at the presentation. Really solid looking figure. Here we go in his tank mode, and that looks impressive too. I like all the silver on it, the red accents, and then of course accented with some of the black parts that are on there too. Just great paint. I like the translucent windshields and all that kind of stuff. Really, really cool looking. Now we've seen this before, but I think this is more of a final. Here we go with like the helicopter mode, so that's awesome too. Just really cool stuff with this figure. I think this is going to be a pretty impressive figure, actually, come to think of it. But I think what's going to impress everyone the most is the size. Okay, here is one last configuration in alt mode and all that kind of stuff. So really cool looking stuff here. Really, these are some great pictures too. I think these are the best pictures I've seen of this figure so far. Now, getting into the size comparison, here he is next to the Mainline Galvatron that's out right now, or showing up in stores and all that kind of stuff. And he looks big. Now, this Galvatron is a leader class and still a little bit smaller than, say, MP36. So here is MP36. And that's a nice comparison right there. That shows you just how big, massive, beefy he is, and how he is a contender on a Masterpiece shelf and deserves to be on a Masterpiece shelf. And of course, different style. If you're not, it's not G1, but it is big, beefy, and interesting looking. So we got more pictures of the Yellow Park Bumblebee Earth Mode Optimus Prime Plamo model kit. This is 30 centimeters tall. 30 centimeters comes out to be roughly 12 inches. Yes, I did have to calculate that. I didn't remember. Anyway, it looks interesting. It looks pretty good. And this shows that Yellow Park, the 2100, I don't know how much that thing's going to be. They're going for a lower price market, and they are going for a more, well, smaller, a larger market than the massive one that they're going to be charging a ton of money for. So it looks great. It looks interesting. I think this is something that's going to sell relatively well. More options for this character, this figure out there in the 12 inch or the 11.81 inch. Okay, Flame Toys, the Fury model kit Acid Storm has been released. There's some images here of this, and of course it's up for pre-order. The model kit is priced at $45, stands 15.5 centimeters tall, expected in April of 2022. So the thing about this is it is highly articulated. This thing is like, well, pretty much like all the other ones that they do. It has a lot of articulation to it. It does not transform. It is a model kit you'll have to build, but it still looks pretty good. It looks very interesting. And again, another really high-priced company targeting a more reasonable price point using the model kits. Now, we are kind of light on the Masterpiece news this week. There's not a whole lot to talk about, but I do want to say that there's this XM Studio G1 Optimus Prime and Megatron bust, and it's a G1 stylized take on them, and that's the bust right there, and they're pretty big. Now, I think that they're actual life-size busts, and that's what I would classify them as, but then again, not really sure about pricing or release date or any of that kind of stuff, but it's like something that's early on with the XM Studios. But they side by side with a person that looks like a life-size bust. I mean, life-size one-to-one as a human. Life-size in the Transformers world would be it needs to tower over a human. I understand that, but when you look at one-to-one scale versus a human, I guess. So there maybe it's a 1/12 scale as a real robot. Now, I've said it in the past, when it comes to Legends and third-party, it's either feast or famine. This week is a massive feast of legendary news for the Legends figures. And this is Iron Factory, Legend Scale, Lyle Kaiser, Gray prototype, and some renders. So, there it is. Looks pretty cool. I mean, I just reviewed one of their figures. They work well. They feel good. They look good. We all know. And we're going to get pretty much the same that we usually get from them. And it is a stylized take on the characters. But it does look pretty cool. And so this thing is coming. But the big news is New Age at Magic Square. And if you thought X-Transbots and Fans Toys compete, well, it's nothing like what New Age and Magic Square do to each other. So anyway, here we are. We are getting this backdraft, the H46, and this is their take on Inferno, which looks good. It looks really good. So I'm impressed with that. And that's going to be coming from New Age pretty soon. And still, there's no price, no release date or any of that kind of stuff. But you know they're going to repaint this thing all different ways, any different color they can think of, because that's what New Age does. Okay, looking over here to the H41 Jones, and now I already have a pre-order of this, but this looks to be like an EX version, maybe. And then we got the G version, which is going to be a G2 prototype. So that's pretty interesting right there that they're doing the Beachcomber. It looks good. I missed out on the Magic Square one, so I'm going to go New Age, and I'm okay with this if it's too small. If it's a little too short like New Age does sometimes with these mini-bots, it's okay because he is a mini-bot, so I can live with that. So I think it's a good design, a good-looking figure, and it'll be interesting to see it paired up against Magic Squares when it comes out. Okay, this is where it starts getting fun. Now, the H50 Scott. Now, this is their take on Hound, and that looks really cool. This is really cool. Looks good. Interesting accessories that they include. There's a lot of stuff going on with it. It's almost like they're mimicking what Takara did with theirs, and you get a little cage with it, I guess. So still, I mean, all I know is these renders or these pictures that I get. So it looks cool. It looks interesting. There's actually more to come. This is the week of Legends. So legendary week. Okay, so getting into this, we have the they call it the H42 Sheen or Sean. Anyway, Sean. This is two different colors of it, two different versions. You're gonna have kind of like a turquoise, and you can have a brighter blue. And I'll probably get on the brighter blue myself. I don't know. Maybe that's the correct one with the turquoise, but I don't know. There's the EX version is gonna have the turquoise, and then the standard one's gonna be the brighter blue, and that's what I'll be in on. But the EX is probably gonna have a much shinier paint job. But they always do a good job of paint, so I'm not really worried about it. And we have an Ironhide. So, I gotta say, I just talked Friday about Takara's Ironhide and how I think there should be a better one. And I think that this, although I wouldn't say upscale this exactly and it would beat Takara, I would say upscale it and do a little bit of tweaks to it, and this could beat Takara's. But I kind of like the look of the bot mode. The alt mode could use a little more rounded edges and a little more work on it, but when you look at this, it looks good. So they are going to give good old Magic Square a run for the money, but I might be getting confused here. I have an Ironhide. I think it was a New Age one already, and I don't have a Magic Square one, and I'm not sure if Magic Square even made one yet. So this is a little confusing, but it's still really cool. It's really exciting. Is this a 2.0? I mean, they're not really saying it's 2.0, but is it a 2.0? Really interesting, though. Now, Magic Square is not going to take this lying down. They're gonna go down swinging or stand up swinging, and they're throwing out their picture for the MSB 31 Detective. Yes, they reused the name of one of the others. Was it Make Toys that used Detective? One of the other ones, the third party in the Masterpiece Skull used Detective. But gosh, I gotta say this looks good, and I think I'm in the camp that I think I like this one better than New Age's. But then some of the New Age designs I'm gonna like better than Magic Squares. So just so interesting how they're going neck to neck, head to head on the exact same characters at the exact same time. Lots of fun, or maybe a little irritation at the same time. And Magic Square was like, hey, we've also got this in the works. They didn't quite do as fancy of a slideshow as New Age did, but they got this they're throwing out there. So, of course, we've got their Hound, and we've got a Mirage coming from them here, and then we've got Ratchet. Now, and I'm not sure, maybe Ratchet and Ironhide came out before I was really into Legends, and I just didn't know that or something, but I think that looks really good too. So it's going to be a tough decision between the two companies. And then, of course, we get Skyfire. So, man, this stuff going on with Magic Square, stuff going on with New Age, the Legends. This is a massive feast week. Just an absolute feast week. Because we've had so many weeks of famine in the Legends department. Circling back around to New Age. And their David should be coming out. And I'm seeing so many people with pictures of it, and it's just kind of exciting, and it does look good. In fact, I kind of feel bad because I actually bashed this the first time I saw it in grayscale. But there's just something about the paint that they do that kind of overcomes any small little issues I had with it. I think it looks amazing. I'd like to see this compared side by side to the Magic Square for size and all that kind of stuff. But it does look pretty good. People are taking all these wonderful pictures and showing off this figure and how good it looks. So then at the same time, okay, we put this figure out, and what other colors are coming? So we have this little list here, the New Age, the H27 David, which check, we got that. The EX version, which I'm sure that's going to look amazing. The standard one looks so good. What's the EX going to look like? And then we got the 27T, the 27X Tromo, and then the 27G David. Let's decipher this real quick. So the first two are in there. It's regular and standard. So the T is translucent, and then the X is Toxitron. So I know that. So what exactly is a Toxitron? So I didn't know. So I just looked up what a Toxitron was, and this is a Toxitron. So I guess we're going to get a green and purple version. So that's pretty interesting there too. So pretty cool. And I like how they're just up front. Hey, we're going to make all these different versions. I'm sure in the next week or two, we're just going to see just a ton of renders or a ton of pictures showcasing this when the pre-orders go up. So some of the other things that are showing up at retail is the Tigatron. Now the Tigatron showing up at retail that I saw was the Kingdom version Tigatron. This is the retro version that's coming out, and it's the same price as the Kingdom one, which is interesting because it's really, really old engineering. But with that, it's still kind of exciting to see it in a way. These don't sell very well around my area, around my parts. I could get every one of them that I want right now very, very easily because they're just sitting there in droves. But I think that like down the road maybe they won't. I'm not sure, and I don't know how they're not going to go that deep. I just don't see them going that deep. They haven't gone very deep with any other line with retro at Walmart, and it seems like the days are numbered on the Beast Wars. It was numbered on Ghostbusters. It's numbered on the other ones. Here's a picture of the Scorponok in the reissue there. So it looks good. It looks interesting. It's in the box instead of a blister card, which I'm sure was the original release. But I didn't pay that close attention back in the day. But I do see like the end of G.I. Joe Retro at Walmart and any of the retros. It seems like it's very short-lived. It's kind of fun that they're doing it, but how long will it go on? Seems like in the Mainline we're getting more pictures of the sound wave that's coming from the Bumblebee movie, and they just like to show how it transforms and it goes in the chest and all of that good kind of stuff. So this is the Studio Series Core, Ravage, and Shockwave. So it looks pretty cool. It looks pretty good. It gets the job done, and it's cool because Ravage is such a three-dimensional character, and all of the cassettes to get there they lose size or something. So I think this is going to be a pretty hefty Ravage for the price point and all of that, and so I kind of look forward to it. So we got more, I would say, listings of what's going to be coming from Legacy. So this is upcoming Legacy and Studio Series product numbers, and starting with Ironhide, the F3171. So this is the movie 6 Ironhide and the Bumblebee movie RC. We already kind of know about all that stuff. We kind of looked at some of this stuff. I don't know if we saw the Ironhide. We're getting the Voyager 86 Junkyard, and that's going to look great next to the Wreck-Ar. Wreck-Ar looks like an excellent figure. Junkyard going to be pretty much the exact same thing, just a few parts swapped out, maybe some slight repaints. Then we've got a Leader Sludge, so of course everyone's going to be looking forward to that. I mean, the Dinobots are doing great with the first two out of the gate, and just bring them on, bring the rest of them on to be awesome. The Core 86 Spike, so that's going to be small. I'm interested in seeing how well that comes out. And then the Leader Blitzwing. Leader Blitzwing, man, that's going to be good. I think people have been waiting for that Blitzwing for a long time. They really have. We got the Voyager Beast Inferno, which that's going to be a great figure. For the royalty, right? And then Voyager Armada Starscream. So, you got another Starscream coming, so it's going to happen. Deluxe Lita 1, so I'm curious about that, the Deluxe Lita 1. Deluxe Tarantulas, so we do need a Tarantulas. I wonder if it's going to be a remold or how they're going to do that. Just kind of interesting there. Core Shockwave, which... so, I don't know why they're drilling down so deep on this core. They got to have something cheap that you could just give the kids or something for $10. Is probably why. So, I don't know how popular the core is going to be, but anyway, G2 Megatron, Core Optimus Prime, Core Iguanas, and Core Skywarp. So, you can build your Hasbro Legends collection again, if you want to, all over again. And some of those look pretty good. Some of them are a little missing the mark, but overall, I guess it's not that bad. Voyager Soundwave, we've been looking at that. And then Voyager Hijacks. I said it wrong. Did I hijack my hijacks? And then Deluxe Wild Rider Deluxe Knockout. So all this stuff is coming. We look forward to it. Pretty exciting reveals there, or numbers go along with it. So anyway, I don't have a Think Geek in my town, so I didn't know, and I went on a bit of a road trip, and when I was on this road trip, I noticed there was no Think Geek. There was some other shop there, and so I asked the people at GameStop, and they're like, yeah, Think Geek doesn't exist anymore. I'm like, really? That's interesting. Because there's not one in my area, and I never saw it on the news so much that they were gone. I heard they were closing some stores. I didn't know they were closing all the stores. So anyway, I guess I'll not be going to Think Geek for a while. But they did carry a lot of the Transformers Reaction and a lot of cool stuff. So I hear it's getting absorbed into GameStop, and GameStop should see a lot more collectibles in the GameStops themselves and a lot more online. So maybe it's a good thing in the end. Some little off-topic news here. I just noticed something in every single Walmart. I think I hit like 7 Walmarts or something. I don't know. But in every single Walmart, I noticed that no Donatellos at all. And I noticed that I picked one of each of these up, and then I ended up picking up a Donatello, but the bubble was crushed. And so I finally found another good Donatello, and I was kind of happy with it. But I just felt like that was the hardest one to get. I think these are produced in cases of each character of the four. Like you get all Michaels in one, and all Leos in the other, and all Donnies in the other one. And so what happens is, for whatever reason, they just don't get a case of Donatellos. So that's the hard one to get. It might even be a chase figure if you put a set together. But I've been seeing this since the get-go, since day one on these. So, sliding into some Star Wars news, and here's something I want to talk about with Star Wars. They are hitting really hard with the vintage collection. Maybe overkill with the vintage collection. Now, it's fun to see. It's good to see. But it's just sitting there in a lot of stores. So, hit and miss on some of the characters here and there. I'm not sure if this is the greatest wave to have put out in this quantity. But I guess I just wanted to have something to put out. So the next wave I think is going to be pretty cool. And there's some really good stuff. So we're going to kind of see some of that coming up here. But this is hitting hard everywhere. So you shouldn't have any trouble getting these, which is a good thing. But then the next wave that I think is even better might skip your Walmarts if they look like this. So here is the said next wave that is showing up at Targets. And just, it's kind of funny because I actually went to my Target when I got back into town, and they were all sold out except for Bib Fortuna and a really crushed Rebel Trooper. So I did get a Bib Fortuna. It's funny, every time I go out of town, when I come back, my place has got something, so it's crazy. Anyhow, I fear that we're not going to see much of this wave if the previous wave is taking up so much space. But it's a pretty good wave overall. I mean, Quill seems to have died at retail, and so maybe that's not the greatest one to put in here. But he's offset by a couple of good ones. Lobot's going to sell really well. He's going to be really popular. And Bo-Katan's going to be popular. And then I forgot how to pronounce that other dude, but the first person that Mando ends up picking up in the series. So we've got another picture here of a couple of reveals here. So we have this Boba Fett, and he's supposed to be a deluxe. And the pricing on that thing, I think it's like 30 something, $30 or something like that for it. But anyway, it's interesting how they packaged it. I don't like that packaging on the Boba Fett. The Fennec Chan, that's fine. She's fine, but not the Boba Fett. And the reason for that is because I can't see the figure, and I'm not even so worried about paint apps. It's just I can't enjoy it in the package if I can't see the figure or I can't see the item. I'm not really much for a sealed in the package but not see the figure kind of guy. So I really hope other toy lines don't go this way. I mean, they're trying to get as close as they can to this in the future with Transformers, but there's something different. The blister card is Star Wars. Without that, it just doesn't feel right. So here's what they look like in their promo images, and I think the promo images look pretty good. The figures themselves look good. They look great. So I like the vintage collection. I like where it's going, and I think that it went to a dark place for a while, and now they're coming around to giving us some good stuff. So I'm pretty happy with that. So they also announced a vintage collection Shore Trooper Army Builder Pack, and you get 4 of them in there. So that looks pretty cool. They did this already, I think, with just some Stormtroopers or something like this. This is mostly for loose collectors. You're not a carded collector wanting to collect 4 of these like this. This is for loose collectors building dioramas, and they should have done this a long time ago. I mean, it really does kind of suck. They make the packaging to where we want to keep it in the package and enjoy it, so why rip 4 of those open when you can just buy it like this? And they don't have to worry about what are they going to do with the plastic. So great win-win-win for them and us. And for the Black Series news, we actually have some of these different versions of holiday characters. So they look kind of interesting. Looks like we've got a red Scout Trooper. We've got what looks to be a Chewbacca repaint to white. Snowman, that's kind of cool. We also have a green Stormtrooper. We have a Boba Fett, and we have a C-3PO, and another one in there. So it's interesting. This stuff is coming out. I know last year's was really popular, so these will probably be popular. I wonder if they're just going to do this every year forever. Maybe. So let me know what you think about this week's weekly news and review. What else is in here going on in the world that I missed? And I gotta say that I'm really excited about some of the Legends stuff that went on this week. And when we get better pictures, more side-by-sides, I want to do side-by-sides comparisons of Magic Square and New Age and kind of the battle that's going on right there, because that's going to be pretty exciting going forward. But what do you guys think? Like and subscribe, comment below. Tyrant Hanger out.